got one. Yes. Bubs, I got one. Woo hoo hoo hoo. Whoa. Yeah. Look at that. Oh. Okay, what are we at today? Wednesday, the 21st of May. How did that happen? Holy. Looks like I'm going to be stuck here by myself. I can't go fishing. Sarah's got to go to Edmonton again on Friday, back on Tuesday, and I'm taking care of the animals. Damn, huh? We do some horseback riding, I believe. I'm going to ride the shit out of those horses and do some fencing, I guess. And do some of this. Now, what do we got? We got a lot. We got a lot of voices. I don't feel bad. It's just, what can you do? I mean, I'm finding so many emails that were lost in the mix. These people thought they were abandoned, maybe. Or lost altogether, but it's not the case, so let's get right into it. This is titled Bow Hunt and Loud 2 Shrieks. Don't forget, you guys, it takes a lot of guts to come forward with these stories publicly, right? It takes a lot of guts. You got to give these people credit, every single one of them. Hi, Steve. Thanks for reading my email. I'm an avid bow hunter, and I appreciate your channel and the incredible hunt stories and scary encounters you share. My stories are not as blood-curdling as others, but they have bugged me because I hesitate to tell anyone for fear of being ridiculed. I've had 2 encounters, with something I could not explain, both within 1 year of each other, during my archery elk hunts in Utah's Ashley National Forest. Specifically the northern slope of the Wichita Mountains. Before my encounters, I'd heard stories of Sasquatch in this mountain range. Even the Flaming, there's no capitals, so I couldn't tell that was a name. Even the Flaming Gorge Reservoir Outpost Lodge sales of Bigfoot merchandise, making me believe that there are plenty of other stories for this area. The first encounter was September 2018. I was in a hunt party of 3, including myself, my dad, and one of his buddies. We'd been hiking up a trail about 3 to 4 miles off the dirt road where we parked the truck. At this point on the trail, it began to run parallel to a river. Just across the river, maybe 75 yards into the quaking aspen, we had heard a loud shriek that boomed through the trees as if it was on a loudspeaker. The sound was so loud and peculiar, all 3 of us stopped and looked at each other, all befuddled that we couldn't pinpoint what it was. We couldn't see into the trees, but that sound was too peculiar to be anything that I could think of. No one said what they thought it could be, but rather we just ignored the potential rabbit hole conversation and continued to hike. The second encounter was the following year, probably within 5 miles as the crow flies of the other encounter location. And one evening, my dad and I hiked off of the trail up into some steep and thick timber to post up to see if any bulls would come poking through. I had my dad post up in some small pine trees, while I hiked up about 100 yards further into the timber. I had been posted up for about 20 minutes in dead silence. And while sitting approximately 1/4 mile up from me, I heard a loud guttural moan/shriek. My brain immediately did not match it to any animal of recognition, only matching it up to the sound from the previous year. And a chill went down my spine, and I decided it was time to leave. I went down the hill and told my dad there was no sign of elk, but explained that noise and how it reminded me of what we heard the previous year. My dad just looked at me, and I didn't want to say what I thought it was because I didn't have anything else to go off. After watching your channel, I've since told him that I believe we came across a Sasquatch, but I don't believe he's convinced. Oh well. Yeah, oh well. Stay safe and keep sharing these stories so others are encouraged to share their stories. I will, man. I will. I appreciate you. It's people like you that encourage everybody to share, right, man? Endless. Sasquatch in southern Utah on Cedar Mountain. Hello, my name is Ken. I'm 56 years old, and I spend my summers camping on Cedar Mountain with my wife, the grandson, and whoever else likes to come with me. My experience happened in the summer of 2019 in the Mammoth Creek area of Cedar Mountain. I got up one morning early to build a fire and make coffee like I always do. I'm always the first one up. So I was getting ready to light the fire, and I heard knocking sounds coming from a direction where nobody camps. The closest campers were at least a mile away. I stopped what I was doing and I looked up and I didn't see anything. I scanned the tree line and there was nothing. I kept hearing it for about 10 minutes and I said to myself, I know it's you, come over and get a cup of coffee if you want, just jokingly. Comma, and the knocking sound stopped abruptly. I sat there and waited for the sound to start up again, but it never did, so I went about the day doing what with camp chores and cooking breakfast, chopping wood, and whatever else needed to be done. And later that afternoon, we were sitting around the fire talking, and all of a sudden, about 30 yards away in a tree line, an aspen tree just fell over. We could see in the tree line, and there was nothing over there to make it fall over. No wind or anyone over there messing around. And we all looked at each other like, what the hell? I know trees fall in the forest all the time, but why did that one tree right there by camp decide to fall over? Nothing else happened that summer. I decided to tell my story after hearing the story about the couple that was at Barker Reservoir, which is only about 50 to 60 miles away from where we camp. I love what you're doing. I listen to your stories all the time. I started listening to your stories before we even started talking about Sasquatch. Keep up the great work. One day everyone will find out the truth. Oh, we're fine. We know the truth. But I appreciate the kind words first off. Thank you so much for the kind words and your share. The truth's out. It's like a huge tidal wave out of truth. A huge tidal wave. Side note, I forgot to tell everyone, Well, we've got 2 trail camera winners and 1 of the fishing lure winners so far. And those are all gone in the mail, on their way to the new owners. And they're labeled just as a personal gift from me to you on there, all right? So that the greasy governments, whether Canadian or American, don't attempt to think they deserve some money from that. Right, just so you know. Marked as gifts. Friday, new winners coming up. Help me with your opinion, please. I'll try. Okay, Steve, my name is Sebastian. I used to live in southeast North Carolina, but now live in Montana. And I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and I feel like I may have experienced something you have experienced and didn't realize till you spoke up here. So here it is. This experience took place back home in southeast North Carolina. Back in midsummer 2020, I had stayed with a family friend, and like any normal person, I worked during the day I was helping a coworker with his side job. I got a phone call from my family friend. Well, she was unnerved by her grandson running to her house from the woods, claiming he saw a black bear. Now, this young boy at the time was 9 years old, and I thought he just wanted attention. Well, when I got home, I asked him what did it look like, and he described a black bear to the T. Well, it was dark when I got home, and my family friend asked to please go check for signs of a bear. Well, I grabbed my old Mauser 30-06, grabbed my flashlight, and walked to the woods, not even 100 yards behind her house. Well, there's a graveyard also behind their house in front of the woods. Okay, so this part is what got me. I walked through the graveyard with no problem. I didn't feel no fear and no sort of second thought. But as soon as I get 10 yards in the woods, I suddenly feel an incredible amount of fear and a sense of, oh shit, if you don't leave now, you're dead. Fear hit me like a freight train. And I immediately came to tears like I couldn't stop myself. And the second thing that hit me was, back up. Don't you dare turn around, or whatever is making you feel this will kill you. So I backed out of the woods as fast as I could with my rifle at the ready to shoot and kill till I was about halfway to the house. Then I just booked it as hard as I could. Steve, I've been hunting with my dad, and I've spent a good deal of my life in the woods hunting, fishing, and camping. I've seen a sow black bear and her cubs at 80 yards at the age of 15. And that same year had a very scary moment a month after I encountered a black panther walking away from me. And neither one of these moments made me feel like I did that night, even to this day. When I think about it, even typing this, it chills me and brings tears to my eyes. And I'm 26 years old, a grown man. Now, thanks to you, I can get it off my chest, because at the time I didn't know what I'd felt, but now I have an idea. Keep it up, Steve. Thanks for the encouragement. P.S. I don't mind you sharing my name. Sebastian Adams, that's your name, my man. Welcome to the club, and thank you for being brave and honest, all right? Hope it helped you, and I guarantee you it helped others come to terms with the same shit that went down with them. You're not alone. Now, the Black Panther thing. In British Columbia, I just found a book. I've been going through a lot of my old stuff. Oh, it reminds me. I got a photo I got to show you guys. Anyways, I was finding some old pictures, and I mean old. Like, I don't know where they came from, because I normally don't have too much from back in the day, but there's a picture of me when I'm 3 months old, and a little boy and shit, and my parents camping trips. And what was I getting at? The photo. I was going to make mention to you about something. Hold on. Anyway, I've shared this story a few times when I was a boy, and I flew into Nahmint Lake on Vancouver Island with my dad, his friend with the bush plane, and his son. Remember that? And they also, around the same year-ish, I believe, was when my mother and the wife of the man of the plane stayed at the cabin while my dad and the man, his friend, went down the lake in the small aluminum boat. Well, if I didn't happen to have found the picture from that weekend. Now, this picture is either when we went or when my dad went with my mom. I don't know, but it's the picture of the dock and the aluminum boat and the plane at Nahmint Lake. And now I have a feeling it just might be that cabin called Blackie's, maybe Blackie's Camp, but I'm going to go there with the Zodiac. And I think I'm going to go around that whole lake. And I'm going to see if I'll match up exactly where this photo is and see if that is where I felt I was freaking shitting myself on that gravel, crapping my pants. And I'll never forget that. The feeling as they were hanging out in the cabin. I said, go fishing if you want, because they weren't really into fishing. I was the only one. And I went out on that little makeshift dock and fished. And I was absolutely, I remember being wound right up, going like this, looking behind me into that timber. Don't know why, but I got a good idea now why. But I'll share that picture with you right now as best I can. It's old and it's kind of dark, but that's the plane, that's the dock, that's Nahmint Lake, and that's when it was going down. Isn't that amazing to me? Right? All right, I went and got the picture, but there it is. It's an old picture. Remember, this would be like back in the 70s. Yeah, probably mid to late 70s, I'm guessing. And that's when you go get your film developed at the drugstore and it comes back in 3 photos. But there you go. That's where we were. That's where it went down. Nahmint Lake, before there was any roads in there, and it was never logged. Hope that's working. All I'm going to be able to do is take a photo with my phone and post it up. Holy cow, those are the memories. I thought the dirt was steeper than that. Maybe it was steep up by the cabin. There you go. Crazy find today. Excuse me. Now, more voices, more knowledge. New Jersey Sasquatch. Steve, I'm 53 years old and an avid hunter, trapper, and fisherman. I was even on the Outdoor Channel for a time, as I was a pro staffer for a game call company and we had a TV show. I apologize for the length of this, but I have to tell this to someone that will take it seriously. I saw my first Sasquatch when I was 12 on a family visit to Muir Woods in California. I was obsessed with steelhead, and there was a stream full of them right next to the walking path. I left my family to get closer to the fish. I guess I was about 100 yards from my family when I rounded a bend in the stream. I climbed over a big rock, and at about 30 yards, a guy squatted on the edge of the river. We locked eyes, and it seemed like he was trying to kill me with his stare. As he stood up, I could not believe how fast he moved. His hair was dark brown. His face only had hair around the edges, and he kept his eyes on me as he literally stepped across the creek. I saw grayish hair on his back and muscles like a bodybuilder. The creek was like 20 feet across, and he cleared it with one hop. I could not get out of there fast enough. No one believed my story, not my parents, my brother, or anyone for that matter. Jump forward to the year 2000. Now I'm married and living in northern New Jersey. I shot a huge buck one morning early, and the arrow seemed a bit far back. I decided to give it some time, as it was November, and I was coaching football at the high school nearby. I went to the game with the intention of tracking the deer after the game. We followed the blood trail about 150 yards to where the deer died. And Steve, you know what the ground looks like when a bow-killed deer expires. There's a 10-foot circle covered with blood and hair. Blood like someone spilled a 5-gallon pail, but no deer. The bears are huge here, but a bear would have chowed on the deer first and then dragged it a distance and either hit it or left it to come back. To come back too. There were no drag marks, no blood trail, nothing but my carbon arrow broken into little 4 or 5 inch pieces. Crazy. That's a red flag, right? Turkey season the following year, I was hunting behind my house every morning of the season, about a square mile of private land. I kept jumping what I thought was a bear on the edge of a swamp at the base of a steep ridge. It happened 4 or 5 times in the dark, and the bear would move off about 50 yards and stop. It was always at first light, as I was hoping to hear the turkeys gobble on the roost. One morning I was late getting out, so I was creeping slower than usual, and an owl, hooting as I walked. When I got near the area where I was jumping the bear, I stopped to owl hoot, and as I did, I heard someone running toward the ridge. It was the thump of a two-legged being, their feet hitting the ground, not the leaf shuffling a bear makes on the run. And then I saw it as it neared the top of the ridge, taking these huge strides as he ran up what I would literally have to use all fours to get up. As he topped the ridge, all I could see was the face staring at me from when I was 12. I knew what it was, and I haven't slept right since. Oh, shitty. No doubt. At our camp, 20 miles from my home, we had a deer taken from the inside of a pickup with a cap on it. The T handles of the cap were closed but not locked. Whatever took the deer had put its hands on top of the cap and left marks where the hair on its arms had disturbed the dust and the dirt. The guys I was hunting would just said a bear took it. How many bears can open T-handles and walk away with a 100-pound doe, leaving no drag marks or evidence? They mimic owl calls from a distance when I'm turkey hunting sometimes, and shadow me on my way out of the woods after deer hunting. People have laughed at me forever for what I have told them is out there. I'm so thankful that you're doing what you're doing. I'm a big dude, 6'4", 300 pounds. These things could twist my head off like an open beer bottle. I coyote hunt at night a few times a week all winter, usually alone, but not anymore. I had scouted a spot on state land one Saturday after deer season ended to coyote hunt later after dark. Driving in around 10 p.m., I came along a 6-inch tree across the road that was just wide enough for one truck. I had just been there a few hours before in the daylight. I got out to move it, but the tree had been twisted around 5 feet off the ground and bent over the road. And as I looked at it, I felt like I was being watched. That feeling of impending doom swept over me. They did not want me in there. So I jumped in and I got the hell out of there. I'm never going to stop doing what I love to do, hunting and fishing, but it's not the same once you know you're not alone out there. There's something about knowing you are not the top dog in the woods. And I know what you mean. I know you know what I mean. They walk around my house at night in the summer. They shout at me sometimes when I'm out hunting. They are here, and no one wants to admit it. The BFRO idiots were more concerned with having me pay $400 to go on their freaking expedition than coming up to see the area where I live. As soon as I said they were human-like and not apes, they dismissed me like I never existed. Keep pumping out the videos, brother. I know how time-consuming it is, but just getting this off my chest as someone that also knows these damn things as you describe them exist is helping like you can't imagine. Many thanks, brother Jimmy G. Jimmy G, I may have read that. Don't know. I found this unread in my inbox. But either way, I'm glad I read it. And it's good to hear your words for other people who are sitting on the fence listening, right? And you're not the first one to have shared that statement about that group. Not all of them. I've always said not all of them. I know there's some good people there, all right? Take it easy, Karen. Just kidding, not really. All right. Next. Experience in Canada. Hi, Steve. Please don't mention my name. I've been wanting to send this for a while, so here it goes. Okay, man, I got you. I'm 36 and I live in the Midwestern United States. I'm a regular guy that someone looking at my life from the outside in would probably describe me as a successful professional person. I don't say this to brag, because honestly, I could not care less about what anyone thinks of me. I just feel that outsiders categorize people who have who have Sasquatch encounters as deranged hillbillies. The truth is, we represent every aspect of society and every profession. If any person spends a lot of time in the woods doing any number of outdoor activities, the possibility of encountering a Sasquatch go up exponentially, especially if you're in touch with the energy surrounding you. Hear, hear. Ever since I was 10, me and my brothers and our dad made fishing trips to Canada every year. Initially, we paddled into boundary waters off southern Canada, a trip I always cherished. We had made adventures and witnessed many awesome things, including the mallard loons mating dance. 1 year before, it was even captured on camera. I even saw a bald eagle swim once. Bizarre sight for sure. Such an awesome place. As my father grew older, we switched to a fly-in outfit. We'd drive to Kenora, Canada, and fly out into the wilderness the next day on pontoon planes. While this seems less extreme than the canoe trip, it is much more isolated, as you have 1 to 3 lakes all to yourself. No roads, no people, nothing but you and nature. And about 13 years ago, just before our trip, we watched a show where a certain doctor took an expedition to this same little corner of Canada investigating a possible Bigfoot around a specific cabin. He and his partners were wood knocking, and eventually a rock flew into their camp and they cowered in the cabin the rest of the night. At the time, we had no Sasquatch background, but we thought, that's where we are about to go. Let's try this wood knocking. And we set out to do so. Our strategy was simple. Knock every night intermittently while we had drinks around the campfire, and every time we would knock in sets of 3. In our minds, if we got 3 knocks back, that would have proved intelligent response. The first 2 nights were fruitless, with no response. Then came night 3. Somewhere around 11 p.m., we had been repeating our knocking routine. We were quiet for a while, and then to our east, a single knock rang out. I'll bet that got your attention. We knocked back. A single knock came back from the same place again. And then this repeated a 3rd time. I thought it sounded like it was 100 yards away, but everyone else I was with thought it was much, much closer than that. We started to become very afraid. We pulled all the wood we had into the fire in an attempt to keep whatever this was at bay. Isn't that funny? Oh, you guys aren't researchers, but it is kind of comical. You got to think about it, how so many people go out looking intentionally, then they get a response. Oh, we got to get out of here. And they just try to save their ass, right? Just like you guys. We got it knocking back. Oh my God, we got to build a big fire to save our ass. It's kind of funny. That's when the really scary part happened. A second Sasquatch, unbeknownst to us, had stalked up to about 50 feet from us across a small clearing, just inside the tree line to our due north. Excuse me. We never saw it. It started to pace back and forth. It was breaking countless sticks or branches. These snaps seemed to be coming from a height of about 6 feet. It was so close. We were all in shock and terrified. Our fire was growing huge, and the entire clearing and adjoining woodline was as plain as broad daylight. I was thinking to myself, why aren't we seeing him? He's right there. He's going to pop right out into that clearing. Where is he? After that, we armed ourselves with axes and machetes, as we had no guns. Oof. We went inside and nothing else happened. For the sake of full disclosure, a big black bear came into our camp the next day. This is unrelated, but almost everyone I tell, try to blame the bear. An apparent wood knocking, walking on 2 feet, limb snapping bear. Who knew? Haha. And this is the last part, and I think it might help others. I've never been a victim of this experience. It didn't traumatize me. I feel terrible for those who carry trauma, that have had much more intense experiences than myself. To all of you, try the following technique. There were times where I would doubt my experience. Did that really happen? Did I misconstrue events because I was excited and scared? This is a paranormal beast. How could I possibly have encountered it? Am I crazy? And about 5 years ago, I was researching orbs of light people report seeing in the woods. And I came across an interview with a young American Indian. And he was asked about the orbs. And he wasn't surprised at all. To him and his people, these orbs are called foxfire. According to them, they are rare, but a natural atmospheric phenomenon that occurs when conditions are just right. Now, maybe they are correct about these orbs, and maybe they aren't. But it doesn't matter. A switch clicked in my mind, and I'm not crazy. I did not witness a paranormal beast. I saw a natural thing that mankind doesn't understand. To those who feel crazy because of a Sasquatch encounter, make peace with what you saw. I don't have the answers. But whatever you saw, no matter how weird, you saw a natural thing. They are part of this world just like us. Just because mainstream society doesn't believe you, and maybe even your family ignores you, it doesn't change what happened. You witnessed a rare thing in this world. Hell, I've had people not believe that I've seen a bald eagle swim, but it happened and it was hilarious. Sorry for the length. Thanks for reading. If you want to share this with your audience, that's fine. Hopefully my punctuation is up to snuff. And by the way, I'm always in the woods in incredibly beautiful places. Sometimes hunting, other times just soaking it all in. Very cool life you've carved out for yourself, Steve. Never take that for granted, as I'm sure you never do. Yeah, not for a second. Appreciate that. That's a real great email received by you today, my man. Good words for all the people listening. Appreciate you. Appreciate you big time. Appreciate everyone big time. It is pouring rain out there again. It's cold, it's snowing. Calling for snow in my old hometown, and it's snowing on the Coquihalla Highway right now. Look at me, I got my frickin' cinch jacket on and my toque on. My father's startling experience is the title of this email. Hi, Steve. I grew up in the White Mountain National Forest in the state of New Hampshire. My brothers and I were always in the beautiful woods surrounding our home. And one night when I was a teenager, approximately 1994, my father and I were talking about some of my out-of-the-ordinary wilderness experiences. He then told me of one of his own experiences. He told me that when he was a teenager, early 1960s, his mother and a female family friend and he were traveling home in his mother's car from a church function. It was the middle of winter and after dark. My father put emphasis on the size of the snowbanks lining the road. He estimates that they were at least 6 feet high. They were caught in a blizzard during the trip and had to slow considerably. This is the sequence of events that followed. As my father relayed to me, they crested a small hill and a creature suddenly leapt over the left-hand snowbank. It landed in the middle of the road, causing my grandmother to slam on the brakes. My father said it was a fur-covered being around 8 feet tall, and its eyes reflected the car headlights. It paused briefly in the middle of the road. My grandmother's friend, who was sitting in the front seat, crawled into the back seat while screaming hysterically. My father said what happened next made his jaw drop. The being, which stood in the middle of the paved 2-lane road, took 2 steps and was over the opposite snowbank. He said he couldn't even process what happened, mainly because it was so odd and happened so fast. He said the being had white or light-colored fur. And for your information, my father was a career military man and a command chief warrant officer and part of the New Hampshire Army National Guard command structure. He piloted helicopters in Vietnam and as rescue pilot stateside. He isn't afraid of anything. He doesn't know I'm sharing this, so please Don't use my full name. Your work is truly appreciated. All the best. TW. Gotcha, man. Appreciate that. I don't think your dad will be listening, but you never know. You never know. And there you go. More members of the club inducted. Without asking, and there's no escape. You don't even have to get a tattoo. All right. This next email is titled Denial. Hi, Steve. Been watching your channel for about a year now. Good job. Finally, a place I can get this off my chest. I was hunting in Alberta back in the late 80s with my two buddies, west of Bearberry, in the foothills of the Rockies. We left Calgary Monday afternoon and got to where we would make camp in the woods close to where we would hunt. And by the time we made it to where we'd camp, we were so exhausted from the long hike in that we decided not to set up our tent. Just threw the sleeping bags in and crawled in to sleep. Done that before. Somewhere in the wee hours, I was awakened to something walking around the tent grunting. I thought it was a bear, so I asked one of my buddies to pass me my 30-06. All I got for a response was snoring. Whatever was out there went away, so I went back to sleep as well. When we got up, I says to the boys, "Thanks a lot. Damn bear was at our tent last night and you two sleeping beauties wouldn't pass me my rifle." They didn't believe me until I showed them the tracks. At first it didn't make sense. These tracks were huge. I put it off to the soft snow. You know, the light, fluffy, dry snow. The other thing was the steps were 5 to 6 feet apart. That was Monday night. I told my buddies, today is 2-Buck Tuesday. Wednesday we shoot our moose and go home Thursday. Well, it worked out as I said. We all have ESP, or whatever it's called. You just have to let it in. Anyway, it's great to be able to tell stuff like this without people rolling their eyes at you. Keep up the good work. It really helps. I have more stories, but that's what I'm comfy with. Thank you, Carl. You can use my name if you want. Carl, I hope you're more comfortable by now. I want to hear what else you got. Send it, would ya? Just send it. Don't be a pussy. Kidding. Not. Send me what you got, my man. You've heard everyone else here now. There's no sense in holding anything back at this stage of the game. It's all out of the bag. The cat's out of the bag. Who's next? This is titled Sasquatch Encounter. Hey Steve, hope you're well. Enjoy your show, and it's cool that others have had these encounters. My name is Michael McDaniel. I'm 47, and I live in North Alabama. No shit, I know a Mark McDaniel in Alabama. That experience happened in Freedom Hills Management Area. I was hunting close to Coon Dog Cemetery. The night before, we had camped in Thompson Campground, obviously surrounded by hardwoods and steep hollers. Everyone had went to the tents to turn in for the night, and I hung out by the fire and fell asleep. I guess it was probably around 2:30 a.m. I heard a giant snap like a tree breaking. My buddy was in his tent, and I hollered at him and asked if he'd heard it. He said, "Hell yeah, I heard it." And about 20 minutes later, we heard tree knocks from across the road. And almost 30 seconds went by, and we heard a single knock coming from behind camp. We stayed up until we headed to woods to hunt. Now fast forward, I'm walking into the woods about 45 minutes or so before daylight. I walked out a ridge, dropped down in a big holler, and set up at the edge of a pine thicket. I guess I've been sitting for about 10 minutes, and a terrible fear came over me. Then above on the ridge, I heard something let out a guttural growl. I mean, I could feel the presence of something big. It started thrashing around, breaking shit. Then it started walking down the ridge towards me. Heavy, heavy footsteps. I was as panicked as I've ever been. I hunt with a 308, and I knew it wouldn't do any good against whatever this was. Well, it got within 20 feet of me, and it went deathly quiet. No more footsteps, just frickin' gone. I never seen it, but I damn sure felt it. It scared the shit out of me. After it got daylight, I made my way up the ridge side where the thicket came up to the top of the ridge, and I found good-sized pines broke off 6 to 7 feet up. They're probably 6 inches in diameter. Bushes were all tore to shit, and I found long brownish red hairs. Being a friggin' idiot, I reached out to the BFRO and met a fellow and gave it to him to test, and of course, I never heard anything back. No, and you won't ever either. We don't have bear here. Deer, pig, bobcat, the occasional mountain lion, and I believe in the Sasquatch, and I believe they can cloak and speak subliminally. Maybe this will help someone. You can share the story and my name. You don't bother me. Thanks for what you do, and stay safe, brother. Yeah, thank you for sharing your email, my man, and your honesty. Welcome to the club. And we are brothers. And there you go. Uh-oh, here we go again. Ooh, this is a frickin' book. Too late to read this one. But it's titled with our, what used to be popular websites in that one too. Hold on a minute. I've got so many. Okay, here we go. Oh, this one's a fair... That's not too long. All right, here we go. Mark, this is red. Imagine if we knew... I know, I should have been numbering them. Should have been numbering the episodes. Well, it still would have numbered the amount of emails. I wonder how many people we've heard so far. What do you think? How many individual people have we heard word for word since we started doing this? I wonder. It's got to be over 10,000 easy, don't you think? Has to be. You'd think. There's not going to be an end to it. If it wasn't true, it would end. Right? It would end. It's not going to. Sockeye salmon fishing trip with uninvited guest. Here we go. Hello, Steve. Your YouTube videos are awesome. You brought me out to share on here. You can use my name, Carrie Dan. I am a Sasquatch band member. Sorry, I suck at pronouncing those names. Previously known as the Kamloops Indian Band. I go dip netting in the Fraser River for sockeye salmon every year, except the last 2 years because of the Big Bar landslide that blocked the Fraser. My story is from 1996. My boyfriend and I went sockeye salmon fishing at a place called Perkins Rock, located off the Empire Valley Road on the west side of the river. I shot a big 3-point mule deer right there one time. I had my trusty dog CJ with me. CJ was a wolf/husky that was with me since he was 6 weeks old, very loyal. My boyfriend is going to drop me off at the top of the Fraser River Plateau. He had to take our truck further north to pick up his daughters and then return to fish with me. I was dropped off at 3 p.m. and made my way to the river with my dip net and gear. I got my safety line and my net set up and started fishing. CJ, my dog, stayed on the shore bank and watched me on the rock as I fished. It was now slow going as it was still light out, and then it became dark, and the fish started to hit my dip net. I was doing well. I pulled out about 20 sockeye salmon, then stopped fishing and packed them off the rock in pack bags and put them by the trail where my dog was laying. I proceeded back onto the rock and started fishing again. And the fish were running, and within no time I pulled out another 20 fish. And again I stopped and got them off the rock and put them by my dog. I resumed fishing, and by this time it's 2 a.m. I caught 2 fish, and then my dog freaked right out and rushed at me on the rock and turned his back to the river and bared down and growled like he was a wolf. I'd never seen my dog act like this. I turned the face I turned and faced the shore myself, and all my hairs on my body stood on end. My dog wouldn't stop growling at whatever was there in the darkness, and my headlamp revealed nothing. My dog and I were freaked right out and all alone out in the middle of nowhere. I immediately quit my fishing and took my dog off the rock and wanted to get the heck out of there. I went to retrieve my salmon in the bags, but there was only one bag of fish left. No tracks, but 20 sockeye salmon gone. I grabbed the 22 salmon I had and headed up the trail to the plateau where my boyfriend would meet me, and he never showed up until 8 a.m. due to fuel problems. And that was the scariest night for me and my dog. And I learned something that night. I learned how to be respectful of the unknown visitor. The next and every year since then, when I go fishing, I stop and I put an offering of tobacco down to the prayer before heading to the river. On my return from fishing, I stop and at the same spot and leave a salmon and another prayer, thanking them for my safe travels. I've never had another incident while I was fishing to date. I guess for me, saying prayers in my language and leaving offerings seems to be working. All right. On another issue, I am an archaeologist and conduct forestry surveys before they harvest the forests. I had my crew with me 2 years ago working around the Fraser River area, and we discovered a pictograph site, Indian rock paintings, and there was also a cave in the mountain. There was what looked like to be deer bones and scat outside the cave, and we definitely saw large scat of what looked to be a grizzly or bigger on our hike up to this place. I stayed at the cave and was recording and taking pictures of the site and cave while my crew continued around the mountain. And within minutes, these two guys are running back to me and saying, "We got to get the heck out of here. They just heard a Sasquatch." And I agreed, and we all ran off the mountain. And this got me thinking about Sasquatch in another light. I went into my files and my photos and books, and it appears to me that Sasquatch is represented in many of the pictographs that have been recorded. Nobody, or myself included, can depict what the pictures of the pictographs are because they were made by the ancestors and they are not here today to tell their true meanings. But there are some anthropomorphic figures that could be thought of in these paintings. These paintings exist all over the world. Our past peoples did not have a written orthography, so this is all we have for the record. I could email you some samples if you like. And one more thing, in my language, you can just say Shushwap language. We have a word for Bigfoot. Why would indigenous languages have a word for such a creature if it wasn't real? Just saying. I think all of our ancestors have known about Sasquatch forever. I hope to get a few people on here as they have some great stories too. I have more, but we'll leave those for another time. I truly appreciate you and all your efforts in getting these out there to everybody. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing your next videos. Also, condolences to you and your loss of macaroni. Carrie Dan. That's awesome, Carrie. Super stoked you got to me. I'm sorry it took me so long to get your email, but I got it. I have a few friends of mine who are in your band. If you're still here, hey, actually, you know what? I'll throw you an email. I'm going to mark this as look into. Look into. And maybe we'll get a hold of you and have you on. And we can have a good little conversation about it and see what you might have come up with since you first emailed us. I think that'd be great. Especially because we're familiar with all the land. We're familiar with the land we both are active on and have been active on. What's this one? Ooh, this one's way too long. If I can if I can find a short one. Okay, here's a short one. Short enough. OG Cree child face to face with little Sasquatch. Here we go. Hi, Steve. God bless you for this place of safety. I am part Cree and Ojibwe from Northern Ontario in Canada. Northern Ontario, Canada. When I was around seven-ish, my parents and I used to go trapping and hunting on a trap line. Well, one particular year coming into fall, as I remember the crunching of the leaves beneath my feet, I used to run ahead of my folks. Not that far ahead, I knew better, LOL, because I didn't want a willow felt on my backside. Those days the folks used to use willows to spank us. Not hard, but enough to know better not to do it again. And out of respect, one does not ask a second time when the answer is no the first time. Anyways, what happened was crazy awesome to a kid my age back then. I remember running ahead as usual, hopping along, laughing and singing. And we had to walk up this little hill, then down with a sharp bend. It was bushy on both sides of the trail, no leaves, but still thick with willows. As soon as I came around that sharp left bend, all of a sudden, with the happiest surprise, there was this little kid in front of me with his or her hands lifted way up in the air as if to say boo or hello. Then he or she jumped up and down, or he or she looked so happy to see me as I was excited too, to see a little person like me, thinking, I have a friend to play with now. Then we heard something behind, left side of him or her, and his face changed and looked so sad. And I heard my mom yelling, so I turned around towards where my mom was yelling and yelled back. I looked at back at my new friend, and he or she was gone. I felt so sad, and I ran back to my mom telling her about what happened. And she started talking in OG Cree to my dad, but in a low voice so I wouldn't hear. I kept bugging my mom about it. I guess just to protect me, she used to say it must have been another trapping family on their way to their trapping ground. I thought about this for a long time, hoping to bump into my new friend, but as I got older, I used to ask my mother, why was that little person so hairy? She used to say, they came far down from the ice country, meaning the North Pole Eskimos. She said they must have gotten lost. Through years, I still wonder and think, needless to say, my parents changed radically. Like they kept me close from now on, and they seemed to be on alert all the time. Like they looked and acted so different, not like free. Sorry, like not free. You know what I mean? They sure have changed. It didn't ruin the trapping or hunting because it was our livelihood. It was what we lived on and money for trapping. So one day they told me what they were. They said they are some kind of a tribe. They are a mixed breed of people. They said, and to stay away from them. My dad didn't seem scared. He seemed bothered. Though on account of his family and knowing that these hairy people are around is what he calls them. He said, just walk away if I was ever to see one again, and tell no one, because people will because people you tell will think you're crazy in the head, as you would put it. And if it doesn't bother you, then you do not bother them. As other different tribes before the white man came, we all had to live together and understand our boundaries. That's a whole different story there, and I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Appreciate all you do. You're a great, honest human being, and this world needs more of you. Sorry about Mr. Macaroni. He was and still is a great horse and a blessing. 10,000 and more % for you, and behind you, God bless you and your loved ones, Lily Grace. There you go. Lily, appreciate you and the kind words and your honesty and your time you just donated to the people. Time is so frickin' valuable, isn't it? And truth. Time and truth. Running out of time to get all the truth we crave. But anyway, there you go. I I actually did this the night before, so you guys are watching this video now, and I did it the night before. And I'm a little cross-eyed tired now. It's time to go to bed. And tomorrow I've got a very full day on my hands. I'm going to get every single one you heard. Mark my words. I already said I would. I said I would. I'll get every single one of them read. I got to take a picture of that photograph, post it up too. But anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. Sarah just mentioned to me earlier, everybody's scooping these toques up fast. And I think it's going to be your last run of these toques until possibly next fall. I don't know. So if you want them, the link is down below. Now, if you want to get, a handful of those Guard Pro trail cameras, it's a 10% discount code on my website, howtohunt.com. You can find it there easy, all right? If you want to buy a bunch of them, which I have. And what else? This Friday, one of you who has been generously feeding the kids, you're going to win a new trail camera this Friday. Just so you know. What else are we going to do? Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? The members, should we bid on some of these fishing lures in the comment section on a live video on Friday or something? Maybe we should do that. Maybe on Friday we could do live video on Friday, announce the trail camera winner, and maybe we could have a few people bid up the price for one of these one-of-a-kind pine cone, handcrafted. I mean, these are, in person, these things are absolutely freaking awesome. It's amazing to me. And they're the only one of them kind. I think it's 5 to 7 hours labor each. And these were donated here 100% with feeding the kids in mind. So we'll see what you guys think. All right, if we do that on Friday or not. And I will see you tomorrow. Share my story, howtohunt.com. Get your truth shared no matter what. The ridicule doesn't count. It's harmless, and at this stage of the game, you've got to be quite the frickin' peanut head to make jokes about this shit. Right? Peanut head. All right, see you tomorrow.